professor namin. Siyempre, professor namin, content ko sabi binola. Sa mga hindi po nakakaalam, translation consultant po siya ng Philippine Bible Society hanggang sa translation consultant ng United Bible Societies. This is the umbrella. Ito yung sumasakop sa lahat ng mga Bible Societies. Karamihan sa mga Bible Societies sa buong mundo. Translation consultant po siya. At naging obispo po ng Baguio Episcopal Area and interim bishop ng Manila Episcopal Area. Professor po namin sa seminaryo, UTS, professor din po sa Duke University. Pero mas, para sa karamihan, mas na kilala natin siya bilang Bishop Danny or Daddy. Bishop A. Friends, let's welcome Bishop Daniel C. Arichea Jr. Bishop.
Good morning.
Morning, Bishop.
Salamat naman na paminsan-minsan ay pinagtatrabaho ako ng former student ko. Pero nakikita ko kayo kanina, marami akong kilala yung mga mukha, pero sa katandaan kong ito, nalilimutan ko na yung mga pangalan ninyo. Kung minsan, nalilimutan ko na yung pangalan ng misis ko eh. Kaya, dumarating kayo sa akin, sasabihin niyo yung pangalan ninyo dahil talagang tumatanda. Yung misis ko, wala nalilimutan. Pati yung mga hindi maganda tungkol sa inyo. Natatandaan niya lahat. Pati yung mga girlfriend nyo dyan, natatandaan niya lahat. Pero ako,
Mas kailangan na yung...
wala na. Kaya please, accommodate me. Pag umano kayo sa akin, sabihin niyo lang yung pangalan ninyo. Kung sabihin niyo yung pangalan ninyo, tatandaan ko naman. I can relate. Pero, yun ang, Ngayon, sabi ni Joey, continue education daw. At, pamadalasan naman, sinabi niya, pagkatapos ang lapit-lapit ng panahon. Kaya anong magagawa natin? Ang ginawa ko, pumunta ako dun sa mga notes ko. Eh, nandyan na yan eh. Inorganize ko lang yung mga notes ko. Walang bagong material dito. Nandun na sa files ko lahat ito. Ay, pwede ba ito?
Oo, pwede.
Oh. So, ito, kinuha ko lang sa mga notes ko ito. Inorganize ko lang kaunti. At yan ay, pagkatapos hindi naman ako magaling sa mga PowerPoint. Powerless naman ako. Kaya ito walang tumulong sa akin ito. Sa akin lang ito. Walang animation, walang design, pero may content.
Yun yung mahalaga.
Sana yun ang mahalaga. Walang effect. Parables of Jesus. Alright, scholars tell us there are three kinds of parables of Jesus. The first one is aphoristic parables. The word aphorism is a Greek word meaning definition, distinction. So, itong aphoristic parables, sayings ito, usually in the form of metaphors or comparisons. Kung minsan hindi natin sinasabing parables ito, pero sayings ito. But Gospel of Luke calls them parables, so they are included in our definition of parables. Examples, Mark 2:21-22 and parallels, right? Ito, sabi ni Luke, ito, parable ito, kaya ito yung 21-22. No one, babasa ninyo?
Yes, Bishop.
Sige. Sinong volunteer at babasahin yan? Marunong naman kayo magbasa ng English, no? Sige. Volunteer. Basahin yan. Kapag madinig natin. Sige.
No one uses a piece of new cloth to patch up an old coat, because the new patch will shrink and tear off some of the old cloth, making an even bigger hole. Nor does anyone pour new wine into used wineskins, because the wine will burst the skins, and both the wine and the skins will be ruined. Instead, new wine must be poured into fresh wineskins.
No, dalawang parables yan. Cloth and wine. Pero parehong-pareho ang focus. Old and new. Ano? Ngayon, para na kayong gumawa ng sermon dyan. Ano? May karapatan na kayong gumamit ng wine. Ang ating Panginoon ay illustration niya, wine eh. Pwede na, ano? Right, so notice the contrast, ano? So, two, yung aphoristic, usually two, contrast. Okay? Sumunod, Matthew 15:14, the blind leading the blind. Alright? So, ito naman, ang ano, sinong babasa nito? Tumayo na lang kayo, basahin ninyo. Pupangit din naman ako.
Matthew 15:14, the blind leading the blind, again called a parable by Luke in chapter 6, verse 13.
Basahin mo yung...
Ay, sorry. Don't worry about them. They are blind leaders of the blind, and when one blind man leads another, both fall into a ditch.
Alright. So sana naman walang leader na ganyan dyan, ano? Pero depende kung anong posisyon ninyo. Yung nung discussion natin ng homosexuality, ang daming nagsabi na ako lang ay blind leading the blind. Kaya tinanggap ko na yun. At yung mga nagsabi sa akin, noon, pinatawad ko na rin. Alright, dogs and pigs. There are palaging dalawa, no? Dogs and pigs. Alright, Matthew 7:6. Ito, kiasmos ito. Ibig sabihin ng kiasmos, cross na gano'n. Tignan ninyo yung ano, do not give dogs what is holy and do not throw your pearls before swine, lest they trample them underfoot and turn to attack you. Yung trample ay swine, yung attack ay dogs. Pero sa paggawa ng Greek ay not in that order. Kaya tinatawag nito kiasmos, cross. Ayan. Kaya yung Good News Translation, by the way, the Good News Translation is one translation that will give you what the text means, ano? Kaya kung di pa kayo gumagamit ng Good News Translation, gamitin ninyo because it tells you what the text means. It doesn't tell you what the text says, ano? But it tells you what the text means. Tingnan nyo Good News Translation. Do not give what is holy to dogs. They will only turn and attack you. Nawala na yung kiasmos doon. Do not throw your pearls in front of pigs. They will only trample them underfoot. So, hindi na kiasmos yun. Diretso na. Naintindihan na. So, if you are recommending Bibles to your, especially to lay people, wag yung i-recommend yung RSV o yung NIV kasi ang mga yan ay talagang literal pa rin. O lalo-lalo na King James Version. So, Yung King James Version pati mga British hindi nila naintindihan yan. Kaya the King James Version, the British came out with several attempts to replace the King James. Unang ginawa nila, New English Bible. Hindi nag-succeed. Pagkatapos New English Bible revised English Bible, hindi rin nag-succeed. Kasi bumabalik din sila sa King James. Ngayon, after that, talagang desperado na sila dahil hindi naintindihan yung mga tao yung King James, they continue to use it. So they came out with a new translation called English Standard Version, ESV. Ayun ang replacement of the King James. Ang katakataka, mga British mismo, hindi nila maintindihan yung King James, tayo yung mga Pilipino, naintindihan natin. Mas galing pa tayo sa mga British, So, ESV is now the standard translation in England. So, unfortunately, mayroon partnership with the Philippine Bible Society, kaya ESV is now one of the Bibles being promoted by the Philippine Bible Society. Alright, so, okay, carrying one cross. Alright, those who love their father or mother more than me are not fit to be my disciples. Those who love their son or daughter more than me are not fit to be my disciples. Those who do not take up their cross and follow in my steps are not fit to be my disciples. Those who try to gain their own life will lose it, but those who lose their life will gain it. Palaging dalawa, Palaging dalawa. Itong PowerPoint na ito ay available para sa inyo. So, kopyahan nyo na lang sa akin at ibibigay para sa inyo. Basta pag-aralan lang ninyo. Kopya lang hindi yung pag-aralan. Sayang naman. Alright, prophets in their hometowns. Nagtataka kayo kung bakit sino sa inyo ang nadistino sa inyong sariling hometown?
Home church.
Home church. Ako hindi. Hindi ako nadistino sa home church ko. Pati hindi pa nakonyayahan doon. Sa home church ko. Kilala ako . So sabi ni Jesus, prophets are respected everywhere except in their own hometown and by the relatives and their family. So, kung kilala ka kasi, mahirap kang tanggapin na pastor nila. Yung church ko na yun talaga, kahit anyayaan lang ako mag-sermon doon, hindi ako. Kung ano-anong ginawa ko, nag-donate na ako ng lupa. Wala pa rin. Babawiin ko na yata.
Sa Narciso. Tinatanggap ko lang naman yung katotohanan na sinasabi ng ating Panginoon. Kung respected kayo sa inyong hometown, hindi ka propeta. Ulitin ko agad.
Satan driving out Satan. Right? How can Satan drive out Satan? Right? The family divides itself into groups which fight each other. That family will fall apart. So if Satan's kingdom divides into groups, it cannot last but will fall apart and come to an end. Sana nga maglalabanan tong mga satanas, Sana nga, hirap lang. Ilang kaya sa atin ang kasama din. Kaya God forbid.
the two masters. You cannot be slave of two masters. You will hate one and love the other. You will be loyal to one and despise the other. And then, sinasabi niya kung ano yung masters na yan. You cannot serve both God and money. Yung money, mammon. Ano, which means mamon. Hindi mamon. Money, ano. So, lahat niyan ay talagang may possibilities of preaching. Ano? Number 2, extended parables. Ito extended parables, making explicit what is clearly implicit in aphoristic parables. The format is usually antithetical against the other, no? So, contrast. Ito, dalawa na naman ito. The two houses, Matthew 7:24-7, Luke 6:47-49, ano? So, the two houses. Ang sabi ng ating Panginoon doon, someone will build his house on sand, the other one will build his house on rock. Ang sabi niya, yung nagtatayo ng kanyang bahay sa rock, ay those are the wise ones, ano? In the Greek, euphronos, ano? The wise ones, those who know what they are doing. Yung nag-build naman ng house sa sand, those are the foolish ones. Yung salitang Greek ng foolish doon ay salitang moros. Ano ibig sabihin ng moron? Ano? Kaya maraming moron sa ating mga churches. So, at ang definition ng ating Panginoon ng moros at saka euphronos ay clear na clear. Ang moros ay nakikinig. Naintindihan niya lahat. Pero hindi niya ginagawa. Those who hear my words and do not obey them is like a moron. But those who hear my word and obey them is like a wise man. Euphronos, a wise man. Alright, so kaya marami tayong mga membro na yan. Pagkatapos ng sermon, darating sila. Pastor, ang ganda ng sermon mo. Wala namang epekto. Pastor, ganda ng sermon mo. Wala namang epekto. Linggo-linggo, Pastor, maganda ng sermon mo. Kaya, istorya nga ng isang pastor, nadinig nyo na ito, bago siyang pastor, nagsermon siya, ang ganda-ganda ng sermon niya. Pinuri siya ng mga tao. Sumunod na linggo, sermon niya, pareho din. Kakaunti na pumunta sa kanya. Pangatlong linggo, pareho din. Pinuntan na siya ng pastor parish related. Ano nangyayari? Eh, sabi niyo maganda, hindi niyo naman ginagawa. Iba ulit-ulit. Kasi euphronos, moron. So, ilan sa mga membro natin ang moron? Ilan ang wise? Yung moros, doon lang galing yung salitang moron. Alright, the two shepherds. Okay, dalawa na naman ito. The good shepherd willing to die for the sheep. Yung other shepherd is the hired man. He sees a wolf coming, he leaves the sheep and runs away. So that the wolf is not just the sheep. The hired man turns away because he is only a hired man and does not care about the sheep. Ngayon, itong parable na ito ay parable para sa atin because we are shepherds. So, wag nung isermon ito sa iba. Isermon nyo ito sa inyong sarili. Ano ba? Sheep ba kayo? Hard. Minsan, focus natin yung hard. Sweldo. Kaya, hindi natin sinasabing sweldo eh, it's support. It's hindi salary because we are not employed. So yung hired man runs away because he's only a hired man. Does not care about the sheep. So kanina yung sermon ni Dr. Rodel, sinabi niya yan, feed my sheep, feed my lamb, and so on. As an expression of love for Jesus. Okay. The two sitting positions. Ito, nakukonvict tayo nito. Jesus noticed how some of the guests were choosing the best places, so he told this parable to them. When someone invites you to a wedding feast, do not sit down in the best place. It could happen that someone more important than you have been invited, and your host, who invited both of you, would have to come and say to you, let him have this place. Then you would be embarrassed and have to sit in the lowest place. Instead, when you are invited, go and sit in the lowest place, so that your host will come to you and say, come on, my friend, to a better place. This will bring you honor in the presence of all the other guests. Parang etiquette lang ito, ano? Etiquette lang, pero indication of what kind of person you are. Ano, pagdating mo, pipiliin mo yung pinakamagandang upuan, samantalang yung pipiliin niya yung di magandang upuan. Pilipino ito, no? Yung mga ibang Pilipino sa harapan kaagad, yung iba naman sa likuran. Kaya kung dumadala ako ng service, nung obispo pa ako, dumadala ako ng service, hindi ako nagpapakita. Kasi pag nakita ako, inayaan ako sa harapan. Eh, anong gagawin ko sa harapan?
Benediction.
Kaya, hindi ako nagpapakita, doon lang ako sa likod, nagtatago. Gusto ko naman makinig, at gusto kong makipag-simba na hindi nila tinitignan yung aking posisyon, kundi tinitignan nila ako na parang ordinary worshiper. Napakahirap yan. Napakahirap yan. Kaya hindi, kung dumadalaw kami noon, hindi namin sinasabi, dadalaw kami, ang hirap. Nahimatay naman yung pastor. Kaya ang plano ko noon, every Sunday we will go to another church, unannounced. Give up ko yun dahil I don't want to be accountable for all these pastors here. Losing their mind. There's two stewards. Alright? Dalawa na naman ito. So yung good steward saka yung bad steward. Two reactions of the master. Suppose one of you has a servant who is plowing or looking after the sheep. When he comes in from the field, do you tell him to hurry along and eat his meal? Of course not. Instead, you say to him, get my supper ready. Right? Then put off your apron and wait on me while I eat and drink. After that, you may have your meal. Ngayon, just a word on using illustrations based on what Jesus did. Hindi ibig sabihin, mga kapatid, na ginawang ilustrasyon ng ating Panginoon, He approves of it. Daan-daan kayo sa inyong interpretation. It doesn't mean that because He uses this, he approves of the servant master relationship. He was only using something that already existed to illustrate a religious, a spiritual point. Ano? So, dahan-dahan kayo na paggamit. Si Jesus, ginamit niya ito. Oh, gagawin din natin. Hindi. Kung ganon, di mag-liberate marriage na kayo. Oh, kasi inaprubahan niya yun. Kung mabalo ka, mawawala ka, yung asawa mo walang anak, hindi, kapatid. Kapatid ulit. It doesn't matter whether the kapatid has a husband, has a wife or not. Ano? Because the child coming out of the union is not his child. It is the child of the dead brother. Oh, ngayon, ginamit yan at inaprubahan ni Jesus yan. Don't think that because Jesus approved of it, that it is something that we can also do. So, be very careful using illustrations and saying, Jesus approved of this, and therefore we can do it. Delikado yun. Alright? Two refusals of playing children. Dalawa na naman ito. We pipe and you did not dance. We wailed, you did not mourn. The two sons. What do you think? A man had two sons and he went to the first and said, Son, go and work in the vineyard today. And he answered, I will not. Afterwards he repented and went. And he went to the second and said the same. And he answered, I'll go, sir. Did not go. Alright? So, two sons. Mas mabuti, anong mas mabuti doon? yung nagsabing, I'm not going, then he went? Or yung, yes, I'm going, he did not go. Ngayon, may problema dito sa text na ito dahil ito is in the context of Israel's obedience and disobedience, yung older son ang naging bida dito. Kaya yung mga text ay binago nila, younger son ang bida dahil older son is Israel and the younger son are the Gentiles. So, binago sa text. Problema yun. Alright, so, extended parables. Hindi antithetical ito. Extended parables. The fig tree. Mark 13:28. Ang hirap ng fig tree na yan ay kay Mark, dumadaan ang ating Panginoon kasama ang mga alagad, you were looking for a fruit, ay wala. Pagkatapos sabi ni Mark, it was not the season for figs. Hindi pala season ng figs. Ang ating Panginoon naghanap ng fruit. Pagkatapos nung wala fruit na hanap siya, he cursed the fig tree. And the next morning, it was all dried up. So how unreasonable can our Lord be? It was not the season for figs. But when there was no fig, he cursed the tree. Hindi naman kasalanan nung puno, but he cursed it. How do you preach on that?
Sermon na namin yung mga nakaraan sa iyaran. Yan ang gospel reading.
Anong sermon nun? Ganito, sermon nun. For followers of Jesus, there are no seasons for being fruitful and seasons for being fruitless. Every season should be a fruitful season.
Right.
Yan ang sermon nun.
Offering na.
Alright? So fig tree, knowing the danger, close to, alright? Close to narrative parables. Mustard seed in 4, Mark 4, 30 to 32. Aywan ko, nag-sermon nyo na doon. The smallest of seed, ika? Ano? Ngayon, ang daming possibilities na pagsisermon yan. Because the mustard plant, during biblical times, is an unwanted plant. Why? Because if you plant it, you're out of your mind. Because once you plant a mustard seed, it takes over. It takes over the whole field. It's uncontrollable. No? So no farmer in his right mind will plant a mustard seed. No? And that's where the message comes in. Because it's compared to the kingdom of God. When the kingdom takes over, out of control. Ayan, ang sermon. Oh, when the kingdom takes over, wala na kayong control sa kingdom na yan. All you have to do is plant the kingdom. And the kingdom takes over. Yun ang sermon yan. Napaka-tapang yung mga sermon na yan. So, it's not focus on what you can do. It's focus on the kingdom. The kingdom. Right? Right, narrative parables. Ito pinaka-popular ito, narrative parables. Ano? Kung minsan, ito lang alam natin na parables. Ano? Wala na aphoristic, wala tayong technical narrative parables. These are the most famous, popularly used parables. In fact, often when the term parable is used, it refers to a narrative parable. Right? Oh, ito yung mga some well-known parables. Matthew 4:3-8, sower, talents, Matthew 25, wheat and weeds, Matthew 13, the rich man and Lazarus, Luke 16:19-31, word of caution. Huwag niyong don't treat this as a non-parable. A lot of people take their theology of hell from this parable. Ano? Yung may chasm daw yan. If you take that, then you have to take everything also seriously. Anong thing seriously? Wala naman si Jesus doon sa parable. Anong salvation doon sa parable? Salvation sa parable dogs lick your wounds. Wala namang pananampalataya sa ating Panginoon yun. Dogs lick your wounds, and then when you die, you go into the bosom of Abraham. Wala namang pagkakristyano doon. Sometimes we take that literally, at sabi pa rin, there's a chasm between you and us. Heaven yung isa, hell yung isa. Kaya hindi makakabalik. So don't take that literally. Because if you take that literally, how are you saved? If you take that literally, it's not faith in Christ that saves you. It is by dogs licking your wounds. Napakaraming misteryo ng ating. Alright, the talents. Matthew 25:14-40, Luke 5:5-8. Alam nyo na yung talents. Iba-ibang count yun. Yung iba 5, yung iba 10. Wheat and weeds. Nagplant ng wheat. Pagkatapos yung enemy planted weeds. At nung time harvest na, nandun yung weeds, nandun yung wheat. So, what do? Do you take the wheat out? Sabi niya, hayaan mo na lang. Hayaan mo na lang. At baka naman kung alisin mo yung weeds, baka masama din yung wheat. Alright? But notice it's a parable. And that parable you can add some thoughts of your own. At ang dinadagdag ko, kung nagsisermon ako dyan, is that in the miracle of God, that's why you don't to destroy the weeds. Keep the weeds there with the wheat, because in the miracle of God, weeds can become wheat. And that's what the transformation is all about. So, dagdag niyo yung magandang sermon. In the miracle of God, weeds, there are weeds all over the place. There are weeds all over the place. They can become wheat in the miracle of God. Right? Tignan ninyo yung mga pastor, ano? May marami mga pastor na dati, luko-luko yan. Naging pastor na. Naging pastor, luko-luko pa rin. Pero patuloy na ginagamit ng Panginoon yan. God overlooking our foolishness in order for us to be used in the kingdom. Right? The rich man and Lazarus, Luke 16:19 to 31. May sermon ako niyan. Kala lang, teacher ko sa inyo. The Pharisee and the Publican. Hindi ito Pharisee and the Republican. Hindi si Trump ito. The Democrat and the Republican. So, the feast, the wise and the foolish maidens. So where would you rather be, with the wise or the foolish? I would rather be with the foolish maidens in the dark, than the wise maidens in the light. Mamili kayo. The vineyard laborers, the unmerciful servant, the prodigal son. Notice it's the prodigal sons, the two sons. Actually. Alright? Ito, listahan ito. Nandito na lahat yung mga narrative parables sa Gospels natin. Alright? Okay. Most parables in the Gospels are simply not parables. That is, stories that illustrate one central theme. Notice, one central theme. Look for the one central theme. But this is very hard to follow. Kaya ako rin, hindi ko rin sinusunod. Kasi ang daming nakikita ng mga themes na hindi naman central to the parable. Sayang naman. Kaya dinadagdagan yun. That means that the various parts of the parable do not have meanings of their own. Ideally, the parts of the parable do not have meanings of their own, ideally. When the parts are interpreted as having meaning, then the parable turns into an allegory. And that's what Jesus did with the parable of the sower. He put meaning into the seed. The various kinds of seed. Once you put meaning into the seeds, the parable becomes an allegory. And sometimes the resulting analysis is quite interesting and meaningful. So, meron akong sermon dito, kind-hearted Samaritan, treating the parable as allegory. Ito. Alright, parable to the Samaritan. Siyempre may disclaimer ako. Ganun ang mga nagtuturo, may disclaimer sila. Usually, a parable of Jesus would contain only one main point or message. Ayan, disclaimer na yan. But this parable is a little different in that it is more like an allegory. Every part seems to have significance. What we should do is to go through the parable and discover the meaning of the various parts for our for Christian life today. Ayun, so, consciously, I am treating the parable as an allegory. Sinasabi ko naman sa inyo, alis yun. Alright? Ito, the man traveling from Jerusalem to Jericho represents everyone. Tayo lahat. You and I, every man, every woman, every child who lives in this world. The road itself represents life. Allegory na allegory. The two cities, Jerusalem and Jericho, represent two important aspects of human life, the religious and the secular. Alam niyo kung bakit? Jerusalem is the city of God, religious yan. Jericho is a vacation place. Oasis yan. In the midst of the desert, you go to Jericho, green ang Jericho. May oasis in the middle of the desert. So, two aspects of human life, the religious, Jerusalem, the secular, Jericho. No one can be completely religious, no one can be completely secular. We live in two worlds at the same time. We are both citizens of Jerusalem and of Jericho. Right? The religious world has its symbols. The church, the Bible, the hymn book, the family altar. The secular world has its symbols. The office, the marketplace, the newspaper. Ito ang sabi ni, I think it was Calvert who did this, who said this. A good Christian, it is said, is one who has the Bible on one hand and the newspaper on the other hand. For to be good Christians, we should not only be willing to listen to God, but also to listen to the world, to know what is going on in order that we could relate our faith to day-to-day events. So, I'm going through that allegory thing. I do not believe that a good Christian is one who was sent, who has one foot on earth and the other foot on heaven. I believe that a good Christian is one who has 2 feet firmly planted on earth, but his eyes, his hopes are set and directed towards heaven. Yun ang good Christian, no? Planted on earth, but the hopes are in heaven. Kaya, Jericho, Jerusalem. So I'm taking Jericho, Jerusalem as an allegory, secular, religious. Right? But as we travel through the roads of life, we meet all kinds of difficulties. These are what the robbers represent. So I'm going through this talagang allegory. They represent powers in this earth that tend to destroy life. They prevent people from experiencing life in its abundance that make people less than people. These are powers that beat up people. They strip everything that they have and leave them half dead on the road of life. So, yung road of life, Jerusalem, Jericho, no? So, yan. Now, these powers are not simply spiritual powers. They are not simply evil spirits that can be exorcised by prayer. They are not simply Satan's armies. These powers are of human origin. They come from people. They may be social, political, economic. We can give some examples. Right. Siyempre, madaling pag-usapan ng US eh. Dahil mayaman yan. The US, for instance, uses 40% of all the Earth's resources. But Americans constitute only 5% of the total population of the world. 40% ang ginagamit, 5% lang sila. We are told that over 1/2 of the world's population go to bed every night hungry. In a recent UNESCO report, it is said that 800 million people in the world remain illiterate. And many of these millions are in our own country. In our country alone, there is untold suffering because of poverty, sickness, lack of schools, lack of bare necessities of life. When we talk of powers that destroy life, we not only talk of spiritual powers, we are talking also of economic forces. For the abundant life talked about in the Bible is not only eternal life, but real life. Life that has meaning right now and will have meaning for all time. And the challenge to the church is to respond to these needs, to do its task of proclaiming the message of Jesus Christ, in order that people may also experience what it is to be real alive, what it is to be real human beings. Right? But what is the church response? So, nagsisermon naman tayo sa church, so this is addressed to the church. We go back to the story. The priest and the Levite, o sino sila? They represent Jewish religion at that time. What they did in the face of human need. What did they do? What did they do when they saw the man almost dead on the side of the road? They simply passed by. Perhaps they have good reason, siguro may mga rason din sila. Perhaps they were scared of the robbers. They hurried on because they were afraid. And very often the church today does not do anything because it is afraid. Like the priest and the Levite, we ask what will happen to us if we help the dying man. I'm glad that Jesus never stopped to ask that question. If he did, he probably would never have allowed himself to be crucified. Or perhaps the priest and the Levite had some errands to do, and they did not want to be contaminated. To touch a dying person is to become unclean for a week. Kumpare ka. Paano ka makapagsiserve sa temple? But that's exactly what the problem was. Religion had become an outward one, putting emphasis on ritual and the washing of pots and pans, the proper way of washing hands before eating, or how many meters one can walk during a Sabbath. Yung mga concern natin. Do you know that during that time, if a hen laid an egg on the Sabbath, the egg could not be eaten by ordinary people, but because the hen worked during the Sabbath. So the egg was offered to the temple, but only to be eaten by priests. Huli yun eh. But all of this belong to the form of religion, not to the content. The content should be good news. It should be God's love, God's concern for people. And the forms are simply ways of communicating this basic content. But instead, the form becomes a substitute for the content. The message of God's love is gone. Instead, to be religious is to engage in ceremony and ritual. Kaya sa aking spiritual journey, ministerial journey, I became very conscious of this, and I revolted against ritual. So, kasi nafo-focus na yung interest natin sa ritual. And we are not focusing on the needs of people. The Christian church too has this experience of turning its back on people on the road of life. For instance, during the Middle Ages, when civilization was at its lowest ebb, theologians were more interested in determining how many angels can stand on top of a needle than in really going out into the world and serving people. Ilan daw ang angels ang Sabi nung ila, 10, sabi niya isa. Sabi ko naman, depende kung gaano kalaki yung needle at gaano kapayat yung mga anghel. And so Christian witness suffered all over the world, and Islam took over many countries of Asia and Africa. So before communism won in Russia, the dominant religion was the Russian Orthodox Church. But the church too lost its concern for people. Theologians were so busy with theological debates that did not concern human life at all, such as what part of Jesus is human and what part of him is divine. Where do you put the halo in the head of a person who is being ordained? Dito ba? Yung pinag-aawayan yan, dito ba? Because the Holy Spirit comes and burns the top? Or dito ba? So, because the Holy Spirit comes and burns a lot of the head. So nawawala ito. Sabagay, kayong mga kalbo, wala na kayong problema doon.
Dahan-dahan lang, Bishop, dahan-dahan lang.
Eh, kaming mga pinagpala ng Panginoon. Wala may problema. Proverbs 16:31. Anong sabi doon? Good News Translation. Right. Long life is God's gift to the righteous. Gray hair is a glorious crown. Tingnan niyo yan. Eh, alam ko kung anong verse para sa Nuhe. Eh, alam ko, meron, Nuhe. Even the hairs of your head are counted when they fall.
Kaya balik na po tayo dun, Bishop.
Gather cold. Gather cold. Nasunog lahat.
Yeah. So religion became a part of the aggressor rather than a solution in aggression. We are told that when the communists took over China, the first thing that they did was to destroy missionary homes. Why? Is it because they hated the missionaries? Perhaps. But the main reason is those mission houses represented the oppression of the people who remained poor while missionaries lived in luxury and abundance. Kaya may pinagawayan natin yung Bill Air homes. Missionary homes yun. Gusto na ibigay, may pagbili yun. Ano, pero hindi naman ibibigay sa atin yung pera. Sabi ng mga obispo, pagbili nyo pero may bahagi kami. Kaya pumayag na yata yung DBGM, 40% daw ibibigay sa Pilipinas, 60% sa kanila. Naku. During my early days in the ministry, I experienced the same thing, of course. But how about us? What is our main concern? Helping people to live the abundant life? Or are we concerned so much with the correctness of our theological positions? Correctness of our theological positions. That we would rather be correct than help people. Kung sinasabi ko ito, ay talagang nagigilty ako. Nagigilty ako because so many times, theological correctness is my value. Not helping people. Fortunately, the story is not finished yet. There is still that lonely traveler, the Samaritan who happened to be passing that way. Samaritans were never expected to do anything good, much less to a Jew. Samaritans were heretics. There is no place among the people of God. But Jesus made the Samaritan the hero of the parable. The Samaritan did not ask, what will happen to me if I help this dying man? Instead, he asked, what will happen to this dying man if I did not help him? Tingnan mo yung focus. Ang focus kasi natin sa church, what will happen to us? Ano, in this recent debate on homosexuality, ganun eh. Anong mangyari sa atin? Hindi yung anong mangyari sa kanila. Anong mangyari sa atin? Masisira ang ating iglesia. Focus. So, his attention was not on himself, but on the suffering brother. The Samaritan is not only the hero in this story, he also becomes the very symbol of Jesus himself in his own life, showed this very concern for people destroyed by evil forces. He healed the sick, he fed the hungry, he was anointed by a prostitute and enjoyed it. Imagine, kumakain eh, dumating yung prostitute, inanoint yung paa niya, kasi nakaganon eh. Inanoint yung paa niya, nag-complain ba? Nag-complain yung Pharisee. Yung Pharisee kasi Methodist preacher yun.
Hindi kasi siya inanoint eh.
Sabi niya, kung alam lang niya kung anong klaseng babae ito. He fed the hungry, he was anointed prostitute, he was a friend to sinners and outcasts, he was not afraid to defy sana yun, his hands with filth and the dirt. And, saan ba yun? And the germs of sick people. He walked the path of those who were half dead. And in the end, gave his life for them, that they may have this abundant life that is promised to them by God. Ayan, challenge na ito. And we as the body of Christ, as followers of the crucified and risen Christ, cannot afford not to do the same. We are the good Samaritans in a world where people just do not care. We are the travelers who help dying people along the way, affording them the opportunity to live, not only to be alive, but to be really alive. This is our calling as a church, as an individual Christians, to be what Christ was and is in our homes, our offices, the marketplace, wherever we are, whatever we are doing, we are called upon to build up human life and to destroy the forces that make people less than what they are in the sight of God. Alright? Allegory. Kaya, don't treat every parable as allegory. Paminsan-minsan, pwede yung allegory. Pero, mas maganda naman yung tignan natin ang talagang context ng parable. Interpreting by context. One of our weaknesses, especially in biblical interpretation, is not taking the context seriously. Kung sabi ko sa mga klase ko ganito, if you don't learn anything from me, memorize this. There is no text without context. No. Karamihan sa atin mga pastor, may text, walang context. Kaya, contextless text. There is no text without context. And the context is twofold. There is the present context, our own, and there is the past context. There is the context in the scripture, yung talagang original context, and there is our present context. Ang problema natin mga pastor, kung minsan no context, kung minsan naman present context lang. Hindi natin nahahanap yung past context. Past and present should be there. And this is very true in the parable, the prodigal son. Because why? Because Luke 15 is one chapter, pero anong ginawa natin? Ginawa natin yung Luke 15:11 to 24. Yung tinatawag natin parable the prodigal son, at yung yon ay yun na ang sinisermon natin. Wala na yung 1 to 23. Oh. Wala na rin yung 25 to the end of the parable. Kaya ginagamit natin yung Ngayon, if anything else, sa ating pag-aaral ngayon, if I can convince you to be sure of context, past context and present context, meron na tayong natutunan. So, be sure of your context. Right? This parable, therefore, can be understood when we look at the context. Right? Part of the whole chapter. So, kung simulan natin ang chapter 15, verse 1, Tanungin natin, why is the parable told by Jesus? What is the purpose of Jesus telling the parable? To whom is the parable directed? Yun ang mga ano. In answering these questions, the first two verses of the chapter are quite helpful. Huwag natin pumunta tayo sa Luke 15, kaagad pumunta dun sa parable of the prodigal son. Ano? Tignan natin muna yung first two verses. Ang first two verses ay ganito. Now the tax collectors and sinners were all drawing near to hear Jesus. And the Pharisees and the scribes murmured, saying, this man receives sinners and eats with them. Yun ang context. Ang ating Panginoon nakikikain sa mga sinners, tax collectors, sinners. Kasama niyang kumakain. Ano? At yung mga Pharisees, scribes, sino mga yon? Mga pastor, mga obispo, ano? Mga DS. Sabi, anong ginagawa ng tao ito? Hindi ba niya alam na makasalanan ng mga yon? Anong sasabihin ng society? What will society say if they find out that this man, who is our pastor, is eating with unacceptable people, is eating with LGBT? Ano? Yun ang context. Unacceptable people. Oo nga, anong purpose nun? These two verses give us a situation, the life setting of the parable. The main purpose of Jesus is to address the issue that the Pharisees are raising, namely, that Jesus is associating with sinners and other outcasts. Such an act makes Jesus as someone not worthy to be a rabbi. Rabbi siya eh. Rabbi, sabi. Master, teacher. So, sabi nila, anong rabbi yan? Nakikikain sa mga masasamang tao. As a reply to the religious leaders, Jesus tells not one but three parables. Tignan ninyo, Jesus said to them, hindi lang sinabi sa mga tao, Jesus said to the Pharisees. Usapan na ito, direct. So the parables were told by Jesus not to everybody, but to the Pharisees directly. So, anong sinabi niya? Hindi lang isang parable, kundi tatlong parable. These are called the parables of lostness. In these three parables, Jesus goes into the world of animals, world of material things, and finally into the world of human beings. Alright? Okay, the first two of these three parables of lostness deal with ordinary occurrences in Palestine during the time of Jesus. A sheep being lost is not unexpected. Ano kasi, yung sheep kasi, ano yan eh, social animal yan eh. Nakikisama dun sa flock. Pag napagod, upo lang yan. Matutulog ng konti. Paggising, wala na. The flock had ganon. Wala na. And the sheep was a very stupid animal. Basta wala na, iyak na lang yan. Hindi maghahanap yan. Iyak na lang. Kaya umiyak yan, wala na. The sheep is a very social animal. Kung wala ng other sheep, hindi siya susunod sa ibang flock. He knows, the sheep knows its own flock. Kaya doon na lang. Iyak na lang. So, madaling mawala dahil kung pagod na, uupo. the flock goes on. May shepherd na sinusundan. Ay kung di nakakita na yung shepherd yung sheep na yon, wala na. So, a silver coin being lost is not beyond the ordinary. Especially in the house. Madilim yung bahay. That means that people lose their sheep, people lose their coins. Silver coins are the primary currency. They are small and they are easily misplaced. Right? So ordinary yan. The parable though talks of unexpected things. People during Jesus' day did not go through all that trouble to look for a sheep or a coin. So, a shepherd, tignan ninyo, kung shepherd ka ba, mayroon kang 100 sheep, nawala yung isa, iwanan mo ba yung 99? In order to look for one? Mawawala yung 99. Isip mo, ganito, isa lang naman. I will secure the 99. Isa lang naman. At kung mahanap ko, okay lang. Kung hindi, safe naman yung 99. Babae, ganun din. 10 coins, nawala yung isa. I will make sure I do not lose one more. I will secure the 9. Alright? Pero, may dahilan ito eh. Because these are demonstrations of God's impossible love. Incredible nga ika. Who among us can believe that a shepherd who owns 100 sheep will leave the 99? Our modern calculating minds revolt against such an idea. Why endanger 99 for the sake of one? Yun kasi focus natin, ano? Kaya, walang mga, hindi pwedeng mag-exist ang mga minority sa ating mga churches. Because we are always the majority. Whereas the gospel is always in favor of the minority. But our churches are always in favor of the majority. Majority ang isip natin eh. Our modern calculating minds revolt against such an idea. Alright? Pero kung tignan natin, so I should ganun, incredible. So tama yung isip natin. But the lost coin and the lost sheep are the sinners. Ang sinasabi ng ating Panginoon, the lost coin and the lost sheep are the sinners. The prostitutes, the tax collectors, those unlovable people, the people who do not want we do not want to touch, the people we don't want to associate with. These are people we do not want in our churches. What do we do with these people? The parables tell us that God loves these people, that God treats these people with love. Now, what kind of love is this? What kind of love do these stories reveal? Kanina yung sermon ni Dr. Rodel ay sinabi na ito. It is the agape love na sinasabi, the radical nature of God's love for us human beings. The love is non-calculating love. It does not stop to count the cost. It does not stop to ask, if I go looking for the lost, what will happen to those who are not lost? Yun ang tinatanong natin eh. If we get involved with the lost, what will happen to those who are not lost? Hindi ba? Yun ang tinatanong natin. Itong last general conference, yun ang tinatanong natin. Anong mangyayari sa ating iglesia? Ganun. Or if I go looking for the lost, what will happen to me? Yun. Pwede ko rin tanungin yun. Daming insulto ko.
Yeah.
In my trying to converse with people, ano nangyari sa akin? Na-insulto ako ng katakot-takot. Okay lang. Pero pag sumulak na, wala daw akong kaluluwa. naisip ko tuloy, ganun din na nangyari nung naging obispo ako dito sa Manila area. Nakatanggap din ako ng mga text na sabi nila, karapat dapat lang kayo sa impyerno. Ay, hindi pala karapat dapat sa impyerno dahil wala kayong kaluluwa. Kahit impyerno, hindi kayo pwede. Right, so, anyway, ang tatanong natin ay ganito, if I do not go looking for the lost, what will happen to them? Ayun ang tanongin natin. Huwag yung if I go looking for the lost, what will happen to me? What will happen to our church? So, ang pag-ibig ng Panginoon is a loving, it's a seeking love. It does not wait for the lost to find their way, but goes out to find them even before they find their way home. Ngayon, seeking love yun. Ngayon kumisan, hindi naman seeking ang kailangan, waiting. Tayo, ilan sa atin, panay seeking, Seeking. Pero there are times when we seek, there are times when we wait. Itong ama na ito, sa istorya na ito, hindi naghanap yan. Suffering, waiting yan. Waiting itself. So, we church workers need to know when to seek and when to wait. Yung ilan sa atin, panay seeking. Yung ilan sa atin, panay waiting. But we should know when to seek and when to wait. The coin and the sheep, they cannot return. So you have to seek for them. The lost son can return. So instead of just seeking, you wait. Okay? So, ipanalangin natin na bigyan tayo ng wisdom ng Panginoon when to wait and when to seek. And to know the difference. Right? Right. Pero pagkatapos nung mahanap, the love is extravagant love. It celebrates the finding of the lost. There is joy, there is feasting. And the expense is most probably worth much more than the sheep that is lost. Ano, illustration nga sa Indonesia wala silang sheep doon lost pig kaya lost pig. Sabi ko, bakit? Sabi nila, hindi pwede istorya yun. Pigs don't get lost. Malayaan mo umaga, babalik ng gabi. Pero kung istoryahan nyo ito sa bilis ninyo, paano nangyari? Ito istorya. Ganya. Nawala ngayon isang pig. Nahanap niya. Umiyak. Nilagay niya sa bamboo pole. Dinalik niya sa village. Dinadar niya yung mga villagers kanya. Come! I have found the sheep, my pig that was lost. And so they came and celebrated. And they killed the lost pig. So yun. Right? So, but then, can anyone put value in joy? Can you place a value on fulfillment? Is there any way to calculate the value of reconciliation and reunion? Kung binibilang nyo yun, now this radical love, ito na yung yung leading to conclusion. Radical love revealed in the simple parables has become flesh and blood in Jesus Christ. Now, one lesson here. Whenever you are preaching, either in the Gospels or in the letters or in the Old Testament, when you are preaching related to Christ, that's why the lectionary always ends with the Gospel. The Gospels are what we call the canon within the canon. Right? For the Hebrew, the Torah is the canon within the canon. Kaya yung first 5 books, everything that follows is related to the Torah. The canon. Sa atin, the substitute for the Torah are the 4 Gospels. Kaya yung 4 Gospels natin nasa harapan. And those are the canon within the canon. Everything in the New Testament, in fact, everything in the Bible should be interpreted in the light of the Gospel. Represented by the 4 Gospels. Kaya, kahit na matatanda, Matthew, Mark, Luke yan, pinakamatanda si Mark, nauna pa rin si Matthew. Dahil Matthew is a parallel to the 5 books of the Old Testament, the Torah. Kaya, Matthew, kaya 5 yan. So, mahalaga yung 5 kay Matthew. Kaya yun, si Matthew represents the Torah in the Old Testament. So, I repeat, kung nagsisermon kayo, kahit saan kayo, sa Biblia, letters, Acts, Old Testament, nagsisermon kayo, you have to relate it finally to the canon within the canon, to the Gospels or to Jesus Christ. You know? Kaya mamaya, pag-aralan natin yung mga Gospels, kahit na wala na kayo yung iba, basta canon within the canon kayo, okay lang. Huwag kayo mag-sermon ng Old Testament lang. You are preaching a Jewish sermon. Kung Old Testament lang. Huwag kayo mag-sermon kung wala yung Gospels, 4 letters lang. You are preaching a Pauline sermon. Or a Victorine sermon. But you have to relate it to the Gospels, so you are preaching a sermon centered on the Lord of the Gospels, namely our Lord Jesus Christ. Yun ang preaching. You know? So every Sunday is an opportunity to lift up Christ, proclaim the message of Christ for the transformation of your church and the world. Okay? Tama na yata. Hindi muna.
Tuloy natin mamaya, Bishop.
Hindi muna.
Konti na lang. Sa Percy.
Alright, so ito. Bigay ko na lang sa inyo yung sermon na ito. Pero huwag tayong uminto doon sa prodigal son kasi there's another son. Huwag kayong uminto 24, you go on. Because this other son is more important for us. Kasi yung other son na yan, kanya lahat, hindi niya alam. The father divided the property between the 2 sons. Kanya na lahat pagkatapos nung sinabi niya, look, I have worked for you all these years. I have not even disobeyed any command. And yet you have not given me even a goat to celebrate with my friends. Tanga! Kanya na eh! Tapos complain ng complain. Kaya ano sabi ng father, my son, you have always been with me. And everything I have belongs to you. Ano? Siguro marami sa ating mga churches yung ganon. We own everything, but we own nothing. Because we are not conscious of our being children of God. And everything is owned by us because we are children of God. So, conclusion na lang nito, upang mamaya hindi na natin pabalikan itong parable na ito. Conclusion na lang ito. We have choices here. We can be the lost ones. We can be the lost son. We can be the other brother. And we can have a choice between the younger and older brother. But primarily, And this is what you need to preach to your people. Primarily, we can choose to be Jesus. Because Jesus, finally, is the one who seeks and saves those who are lost. Okay? Right? So, okay. And what Jesus is, God is. What Jesus is, we should be. What Jesus is, the church should be. Okay, tapos na.
Salamat po, Bishop.